You are now listening to the smooth sounds of Loveatiya. Ciao, beautiful souls. My name's Atiya, and I am your future bestie in your head. I am a sex-positive animal activist. I grew up in Queens, New York, and was homeschooled/unschooled for about 12 years. I was a virgin until I was 24 and attempted to have a hoe phase for 2 years, which eventually led me to being accidentally/intentionally celibate. And here we are today. My past left me with a lot of wild stories, a lot of lessons, and a hell of a lot of trauma. Thank God for my wicked sense of humor, because God only knows I would have perished by now. With that being said, this is your gentle reminder that the Loveatiya experience was created as a safe space for me to reflect and share the lessons that I've learned from past traumas. Shit gets real on this podcast, and topics such as domestic violence, sexual assault, substance abuse, depression, anxiety, and suicide may be referenced. If you are working through feeling triggered by certain topics, this may not be the show for you right now, and that's okay. Healing takes time and isn't linear. I'll be here when you're ready. Now, without further ado, the Loveatiya experience is an experience. So get ready for laughs, crazy story times, and life-changing pleasure tips here on the Loveatiya Experience podcast. What's up, beautiful souls? It's your favorite person on this whole entire world, Earth planet, Loveatiya, and you are going to hear this episode that I referenced, that this episode is episode 14. It actually is not. This is the episode that I recorded a while ago and decided to finally post now that I officially have my web series up on my YouTube. So I figured it's a great time to be able to introduce the web series and talk to y'all about why I had to reshoot my web series back in 2017, why I had to fire a majority of my casting crew, why I had to abruptly stop shooting season 2 of my web series. And let's also talk about how I met my ex and how fucked up that was and how we ended up here. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the story. Hola, buenos motherfucking dias. Can somebody DM me and tell me how to say motherfucking in Spanish, please? Because I really need to know this information. It's your girl, Loveatiya, and this is my podcast. If this is your first time listening, shut the fuck up and enjoy. No, I'm playing. That's OD. No, we're gonna have a great time. This is actually part 2 of my story time from the last episode. There's a lot to fucking talk about and dive into, so I'm low-key just gonna dive in. But before I do, I just want to mention, per usual, that I will be having some tips thrown in here regarding self-love, self-care, self-pleasure, some masturbation tips or some couples tips. And it's so funny because I thought that I actually would run out of tips after a while because I'm not having sex. But I feel like the less that I have sex, the more that I learn about myself and about bodies and about anatomy and about partners and all that good shit. So yes, I shall definitely still be educating. There's this new feature on TikTok, supposedly, where you can make your content be like for 18 and up people, which I think is pretty cool because I'm so tired of people commenting like, this is a kid's app. Well, bitch, now it's both. So yeah, excited about that. But I just did that on one of my posts and it low-key still got shadow banned. So whatever, we'll see. I'm so done. I'm on Pinterest now, posting my shit, YouTube shorts and all that stuff. At this point, gotta get it how I can live it, you know? This is so random, but I'm like really proud of myself and knowing my worth. A brand reached out to me recently and they tried to offer me, like really lowball me on a promotion. And at one point, I sent them and they lowballed me after I sent the rates. They asked for my rates, I sent the rates, and then they tried to lowball me. I feel like that's so disrespectful because if I was a white creator, they would have never done that shit. So yeah, part of me was gonna like say, you don't know, it's okay, I'm gonna do it for that rate. No, I'm so done. That was so 2022 of getting not paid my worth. My shit be going viral. And regardless, I put so much time and effort into my promotions and my energy and my efforts. I remember there was this one brand that was not of Black descent. You can figure out what race it was, but they literally told me like my content wasn't worth that. And I said, it's more than just my fucking content, bitch. It's me. It's literally the energy that I put in. It's literally my essence. Like, fuck you. So yeah, that really made me stop wanting to like reach out to brands in general. And literally fuck that brand. Like if I could remember what brand that was, it was like a irrelevant brand overseas. But if I could figure out what brand that was, I would definitely like say their name. But they're so irrelevant, you'd be like, who? So yeah, I'm very proud of myself for not lowering my standards just because somebody offered me something that was way below what the fuck, like I said, my original rates were. So yeah, cheers to knowing my worth, which is the opposite of what this story is going to entail, because this is part 2 of how I met my ex, and there are some details that I know that I missed in the last episode. Feel free to recap on that or whatever. I'll catch y'all up. Basically, I had this friend group when I was 21, got drunk, sucked a dick in the bathroom. I don't know if y'all heard that because I kind of stuttered, but sucked a dick in the bathroom. Then I ended up falling in love with this guy that I considered to be my best friend, who treated me like shit and had a girlfriend, but he said he had feelings for me. And then ended up kind of dismissing my actual guy best friend in that situation, that I used to sleep in his bed and he wouldn't try anything. Yet I kind of dismissed that friendship for the asshole. And straight up, that's what he was back in the day. I'm sure he can fully admit it. Because he ended up being my ex, and that's a totally different story. But with that being said, there are some things that I know that I missed in the last story that I want to make sure that I include in this. And then we're going to end it with my crazy ass spring break experience, which is, of course, a blur because I was super drunk throughout the whole thing. But we're going to try to get both of those stories into this episode, okay? So let's just dive in. Last episode, I ended me and the guy, Amari, right? So recap on the people. Amari is my... the guy that I'm, I guess I'll consider him to be my ex, but he wasn't my ex at the time. So Amari's my ex, but not my ex at the time. Latif is his best friend, who was in that time, in my mind, my best friend as well. And granted, how am I calling these people best friends? We've known each other for a fucking month. It's delusional, but it's okay. I can fully acknowledge that I made these relationships be more than what they actually were, because it's what they were perpetuated to be. We were all we found our people, we found our tribe, we found our tribe. That was our thing. We're from New York, and it's crazy because we did have amazing moments. I remember this one time, y'all know Between the Lions. Hey now. Hey, wow, here's how. Come and read Between the Lions. Sing it with me now. Come on. Woo. Come in. Begin. The world awaits. Beat drop. Between the lions, between the covers of the book, it's time to look between the lions. Behold the tales, beyond the tales, behind the door. I'm keep going. To come explore. Come in between the lions. I hope you all sing with me. Between the lions. Come in between the lions. Whoa! That. So we all sang that song together. And it was oh my God, y'all know that song too? Nostalgic. So yeah. But we had really silly moments like that I like to look back on and know I wasn't fully bugging because we really did have a friendship. But I remember one time, right? So this is after we established that, yes, my ex was still with his girlfriend, but was still fucking around with me. So I was blatantly a side chick now. And the one thing about it is that I didn't know at the time that my ex had sociopathic tendencies. So he made himself seem so relatable and so I don't know, it just seemed like we were just on the same page. And he also knew how to tug at a motherfucker's heartstrings. So I remember that he told me that his mom was recovering from a sickness, and a very serious sickness. And the sickness that she was recovering from was a sickness that my grandma had passed from. Not my mom's mom, but my dad's mom. And so I feel we had that connection because I could understand, although I wasn't alive when my grandma passed, I know how much that can take a toll on somebody. So there was that. And I'm just not being specific because that's not really my business to tell. But yeah, just know that that was something that I was oh, he's going through this, it was all that. And then I was going through it with my dad because I told you we had to fallen out because my dad just didn't realize why my self-worth was so low. And it's because I need you to support me, my brother. And then so yeah, it was all of that. I was just really spiraling. And I remember one time I got a call from Amari, and he was hey, I stepped out to run outside to the car real quick or whatever. He didn't even have a car, so I don't know what he was talking about. He was I stepped outside real quick, and I just wanted to tell you, I really miss you, and this, that, and they're sweet talking me, right? And I'm oh my God, thank you so much, whatever. I'm all nervous and shy, and I'm stuttering and shit. He's literally gonna say, okay, well, I gotta go because I'm entertaining company right now. Are you? Am I? Are you? Am I? Are you dumb? Am I dumb? Are we both dumb? Entertaining company, aka you got a bitch over your house and you called me to tell me that you miss me, or you have a bitch over your house who is not your ex? I mean, your girlfriend? She's literally not your girlfriend. You have another girl over there? And you called me in between you having her over there? Okay, that's fucking crazy. And it's crazy that I stuck around for that shit. I don't know if this was the same phone call that he called me to tell me some sweet lullabies while he was literally peeing in the toilet, and I literally heard him peeing in the toilet. Yeah, there was that as well. So it was just like straight up blatant fucking disrespect. And again, like, I know that me and Latif kind of ended up falling back from each other because I was so fixated on Amari that I didn't nurture my relationship with Latif. And Latif ended up feeling kind of, like, dismissed. I remember this one time, I had messed around with Amari and I slept over in his room, and I was supposed to, I think this is towards the end, because I feel like I'm missing a chunk of this life, of this time period, but I can't really remember it right now. But this was literally like the last day that we ever hung out, like in this time portion. It was February, and I was going to California the next day. I think I was actually supposed to hang out with Latif that day, and ended up hanging out with Amari instead. And I spent the night that night. I had a suitcase over there. I took a shower in his bedroom. I remember he had told me at one point, like that night, he had confessed to me that he had gotten chlamydia one time. And he told me this disgusting ass fucking story, and then was like, yeah, but it's good now. Like, what did he say? He took a pill or some shit. And then I remember I had asked him, like, what his sexual health was now, because at this point I know you're messing with multiple people. And he was like, well, my girlfriend just got tested and she's good, so I'm good. How do you tell your side bitch that? How did I just be his side bitch? Like, how did I just accept that role? I just was like, okay, this is fine. Like, wow, where was I mentally? But that was crazy. And then I remember I took a shower and I left my body scrub in his shower. And then that next night, I fucked around with him. I fucked around. Okay, I'm sorry. So say that I went to California on February 17th, right? February 16th, I spent the night at their house again. So I guess I spent the night back to back. And I remember I had just finished messing around with Amari. And so I'm laying in his bed. I had my suitcase in the room because I'm literally going to head to California right after that, which is crazy. Like, I literally went, I guess, from their house to the airport. That is insanity. But I did, and I was nervous because me and my dad literally were not speaking, but we had this trip planned to California for forever. So we had not spoken in weeks, probably. And I'm like, I'm literally going to meet my dad in the airport, and then we just start speaking. Like, I was just so nerve wracked. And then I also know that I had a job that night. It was a lot going on. It was really a lot. Like, I mean, I needed money. So I was a brand ambassador, and I had a gig that night. So spent the night at his house, kept the suitcase in there, took a shower that night, woke up, fucked around with him, needed to take another shower, right, before I went to work. But he told me that I had to go to Latif's room because his girlfriend was coming over that night. Yep. He literally told me that I had to, like, get my stuff out of his room because his girlfriend was coming over that night. And I can't remember if I knew that they were still together or if he had told me that they were taking a break or were broken up. And then it's also crazy because I'm like, I thought that she couldn't spend the night. So what happened to that? Like, that's what he told me in the last time when we were best friends, quote unquote. So yeah, so that was heartbreaking. And I would never forget. I took my shit. I brought it into Latif's room. And I had asked him, like, hey, can I take a shower? Like, obviously, we just finished messing around or whatever. I didn't need to tell him that. But I was like, can I take a shower? And he was like, go take a shower in Amari's room. Like, he really had a whole attitude. And I understand why. I didn't understand why at the time. I also had wondered sometimes if Latif had a crush on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, like, if my guy friend fucked around with my girlfriend, and then, like, ended up back to me by default, and then, like, asked to take a shower in my bathroom, I'd be like, go take a shower in your fucking bitch's room. Like, I would feel the same way, so I get it. I don't really know what I ended up doing because I know that I couldn't take a shower in Amari's room. Or maybe I did take a quick one, but I remember I had such a panic attack because when I got to work, well, first of all, I cried in the bathroom at work because I'm like, we literally just fucked around. You told me that, like, all these sweet nothings. He probably told me that he loved me, honestly, if we're talking bullshit. And then your girlfriend's just coming over, and this is like the last night that I'm going to see you for like 2 weeks because I was going to spend a week in California with my dad, and then I had another week that I was going to spend there by myself. So I'm not going to see you for 2 weeks, and like this is how we're ending it. Like, we don't even get to spend the last night together. Like, it's crazy. So yeah, I will never forget. I cried in the bathroom at work. I had to try to get my shit together because I had to be out on the floor, and ended up going back. I guess I slept in. Did I sleep in Latif's room? Or did I go home? I slept in Latif's room, and then I left early, like 6 o'clock that morning to go to the airport. Got to the airport, and then, I had a great trip with my dad. Like, all ended up being well. We had some really healing conversations. But I will never forget, I want to say the second night of being in California, I remember the Super Bowl was that day. And I remember thinking like, oh my God. Oh, well, what's crazy is even before all that happened, before I even got to California, when I got back to Latif's house, I remember hearing like a lot of stuff happening in Amari's room. Now, I'm not going to say I heard them having sex, but I just heard like laughing and like music. And it was just so painstakingly painful because in my mind, I was in love with this man. Like, yes, I was a side bitch, but in my mind, we were soulmates and we had so much in common and we had so many similarities. And, I guess in my head, I see it so vividly. And I don't even know if I'm conveying it that way to y'all, but just think about like a 21-year-old with low self-esteem who just was like love-starved, So everything meant the world to me. And I feel like there were other things that happened that I'm sure were like big deals that I just can't remember right now. It was crazy. So we ended up not speaking. Like, I got to California. He didn't text me when I got to California. So that second day, the day of the Super Bowl, I remember thinking like they're probably doing so much shit together. So it couldn't have been the 17th because it was before Valentine's Day. Because I remember I was in the bathroom one morning, and my dad doesn't even know this, but I was literally having a whole panic attack, crying in the corner on the floor over this nigga. Like, I could not believe it looking back on it, that this is how I spent my experience in California. But that was it. Like, I literally was having a sobbing moment in the corner on the bathroom floor. I actually wrote a song about it, I wrote a poem about it, and I turned it into a song. But that was really, really interesting. And then, I remember, because I guess I was in California at the time, I had looked on, because the thing about it, and I don't know if I portrayed this enough in the last episode, but my ex, or Amari, who was not my ex at the time, he made it very clear that he hated his girlfriend. He made it very clear that he hated T. So, like, everything that she did, her low vibrations and her energy and her attitude, he said that one time she had punched a hole in his wall, or kicked a hole in his wall, and he wanted her to get it repaired because, like, it was obviously damage done to his apartment by her. So he really made it seem like she was, like, this treacherous, torturous bitch that was just, like, such a horrible person. And it's so crazy because it's so full circle. So somebody that I ended up being really close to, I can't even tell y'all because then it will kind of like, I don't know, if you put two and two together, but ended up knowing Amari's ex. And he said, like, she wasn't a bad person. Like, the person that I knew said that Amari's ex wasn't a bad person, like, from what he knew of her. So the fact that Amari portrayed her to be this, like, horrible person, and I mean, the person that I met, her energy was just so low. Now, granted, maybe she felt that I liked him. Maybe she felt that he liked me. Maybe it's the type of thing where he brought me up all the time. I don't know. So I can't really judge how she took me in, you know what I'm saying, or how she took to me. But yeah, I just know that our interactions were not positive. So I believe that she was like this torturous wench. And now that I think about it, I feel like he did tell me that they broke up and that she was trying to work things out. And I think he even said, like, yeah, we're not going to mess around or anything. Like, nothing's going to happen when she comes over here. But, she just wants to, like, spend time with me. And why do I feel like there would be times where she would say shit to him? Like, I just want to be in your space. Like, I just want to be in your presence. Like, I swear, it's all coming back to me now. I'm about to listen to Celine Dion after this, but cause when I kiss you like this, that song, and when I whisper like that. Okay, I'm not gonna go in, but just know that's my jam. I should take a pause and listen to that right now. I'm gonna do that. All right, our dog's fighting outside. Mijo, Miho, calm down. See, they listen to me. I'm a dog whisperer. So, anyways, if you're on my Instagram and you were watching 2 weeks ago, no, this is like 4 weeks now. Well, you probably won't remember this, but I just posted this on my story, me singing that song. Okay. Anyways, so I remember that he tried to jack that, like, they weren't together anymore, but because it's literally, like I said, all coming back to me. He tried to act like they weren't together anymore, but she still wanted to remain like cool and just hang around him or whatever and be in his presence. But I thought that was sus because he also made me get his shit out the room, and I'm like, if you're not together anymore, then why do you care about my shit being in the room, you know? And I think I also mentioned that I had been shook because at one point I had left my like body scrub in the room, and I was like, wow, if she finds out that that's my body scrub, she's gonna come in here and beat my ass, because he made it seem like she was so volatile and angry that she literally would fight bitches. May have even fought someone. Like, why do I feel like that's a thing? Like, where did I get this? I feel like she fought someone at some point. But yeah. Also, the girl that he claimed was like so amazing and that was his type, like when I said that we were quote unquote best friends, he was talking about his other bitches. That girl was also his ex's friend. That was T's friend. So yeah, he just wasn't shit, and it was very clear to me. And it was like, fuck a red flag. Like, bitch, these were blinding lights, and I was blinded. Love is blind. Okay, so yeah, I was crying in California. I remember this is after my dad left now, because I was crying with my dad when I was with my dad in the bathroom. He didn't know this was happening. But then the week after that was Valentine's Day, and I remember because I was super depressed, and I think I had bought myself like a teddy bear or something, and like wine. I remember I definitely was getting drunk that day, and for whatever reason I checked his Snapchat, and lo and behold, he's literally filming his girlfriend, who he claimed was his ex-girlfriend, walking into the house, and she's all dressed up and looking all happy, and he's like filming her being like this good boyfriend, and I think she might even have like balloons and flowers and all these. Yeah, it was heartbreaking. Like, my whole heart broke. So I probably spent Valentine's Day crying, because crying was the thing that I did a lot. And yeah, then when I returned, once again, like, I had not spoken to him those whole 2 weeks that I was gone. It was like, fuck me. I don't really remember how this ended up happening. Oh, no, I thought I had a recollection, but I didn't, because the timeline of this is really fucked up in my head now. Because what I'm about to tell you either happened in March or May, but I feel like it happened in March. So let's go with March, okay? Okay, so, but just keep in mind it may have been May. All right, so in March, somehow I ended up getting rekindled back with Amari, and I'm trying to figure out how that happened. Like, why can't I remember how that happened? But you know, trauma leads to disassociation, and that all leads to, and depression all leads to memory loss. So who knows how this happened? But somehow, after California, after Valentine's Day, a little time had passed. Somehow me and Amari ended up talking again, and I'm like, well, what happened with me and Latif? But somehow me and Amari ended up talking again, and he claimed that he was single now. And then maybe I just texted him venting, and maybe I would drunk texted him or something. I don't know. But all I know is that we ended up, wow, this all feels like a dream, but I know it really happened. We ended up going to this coffee shop, right? It was like my little sacred hideout. We went to this coffee shop, and they had a poetry night. And so we literally went to like this poetry slam. And I remember he didn't have his glasses on, and I guess he couldn't really see. So I was like standing outside of my car, because he was like 20 minutes fucking late. And then I was like waving to him, but like he literally couldn't see me. It was like squinting as he was trying to cross the street and shit. So I ended up crossing the street. We got over there. But this was like our first official date. Like, this was our first official, like, we're out. You're no longer hiding me from the world, or you're no longer hiding the world from me. So that was like really big, and I had gotten so dressed up, y'all. Oh my God, if I could post a picture on podcast, I would. I got so freaking dressed up. It was so sad. And then, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we had a really, really good night. I remember he had told me that he was scared that he was going to go bald, because his dad had gone bald like at an early age, and like he had a full head of hair. So, you know, I don't know. I don't even know why I remember that. And then I remember this older guy came over and was like, oh my God, y'all are gonna have the cutest babies. No, y'all are such a cute couple. Like, y'all are gonna be so cute together, and y'all's babies are gonna be so cute. Y'all together, like going in on us. And in my mind, I was like, he's my man, coming soon, and our babies are gonna be so cute. But yeah, delusion. I told y'all. The Nile is a river in Egypt. Your husband is gay. But anyways, yeah, that happened, and they had like, I guess, funny shit happening at the poetry slam. We had like insiders, and then he ended up coming to my house afterwards, right? And I was so excited because it was the first time he ever came to my house. Now, another thing is that he used to always comment on how I had an Audi, because I had an Audi at the time, and that was like a really big deal to him. And now, granted, I guess that's why people thought I had money, but it was like a fucking 2007 Audi. I was very grateful for it, don't get me wrong, but I never thought that my first car was going to be a designer fucking, is it a sports car? A designer sports car? Like, wow. It's crazy. I was grateful for it. I mean, I'm a great kid. I never did anything to like, I deserved it as a child. And it's crazy because like, I feel like my dad low-key had to like convince me to want it, because I definitely wanted the Nissan. And he was like, no, but what about the Audi that's literally the same exact price? And I'm like, but I want the Nissan. But yeah. Anyways, he kept mentioning how I had an Audi, and I just felt like that was like, that's not my personality trait, bro. Like, why do you keep mentioning that? My ex Amari did. So we get to my house, and I was so excited to show him my house, and so excited to be able to be intimate with him without there being like distractions and the energy of his ex or Latif or anything like that around, because we'd have to kind of keep it quiet somewhat. But I know that Latif would hear us fucking. We weren't even fucking. I literally was a virgin, like I said, until I was 24, but I know you'd hear us fucking around. Stop spreading the rumors around. I'm gonna call this like a karaoke podcast. I feel like in every single podcast episode I sing a song, like at least two. But with that being said, at one point, I didn't have weed, I guess. This is what I'm thinking, because why didn't I have weed, though? Because I feel like I was definitely like a pothead, and I always had weed. So how did I not have weed? Unless I just didn't want to share it with him. But as I'm talking about it, I actually think that I did have weed. But I remember this very clearly, that Latif and Amari ended up being on the phone. I feel like Latif might have called. And he was like, yo, bro, like, I just copped or whatever, like this, that, and the third, y'all trying to smoke, like, whatever. Because, like, for whatever reason, Latif didn't like to be alone. So it seemed. So, yeah, like, Amari was like, hell yeah, we coming over. And I was like, fuck. Like, we were just about to have our quality time after this amazing date. And how'd we end up going back over to your house with the energy of your ex being there, even though you claim that that's really your ex now? And then Latif, like, what? Okay, fine. I was like, hanging out with Latif. That's fine. Yeah. I mean, it was fun, believe me, but I just wanted one-on-one time. So we ended up going back over to his house and smoking. And then, like, it was just us, basically all three of us together all night. And then we went back into his room, might have fucked around a little bit. And I actually don't remember what happened after that, to be honest with you. I really don't. I do remember that I tried to get them to come to spring break with me after that. But nothing came of that date. Like, nothing. I don't really remember any major, like, follow-ups from that date. Or any promises of a relationship or anything like that. I do remember that eventually I did meet Dolly in person. And that was like their best friend. She was also from New York. And he later on told me, because I remember at one point we were in Latif's room and we were all dancing, and Dolly was just like a vibe at the time. Like I had gotten along with Dolly very well in my mind. But I remember that Amari later on told me that Dolly used to have feelings for him. And then he said that he thought that he might be catching feelings for Dolly too at a moment, but then he said that he didn't really look at her like that. And when she caught feelings, he said that they were going to try to explore it, but she didn't want to ruin the friendship. Right? Is that the story? I'm like, is that the story? Or I remember all of that, but I'm trying to remember if he said that he had feelings for her back or not. And I feel like he said that he just looked at her like a sister and didn't look at her like that. But they didn't want to make it weird, so they didn't want to cross any boundaries. But I'm like, well, why would that conversation be said? You don't want to make it weird. But I feel like now that I'm vocalizing it, I remember this confusion being said too. Like, it just sounded like a lie. Like, it just didn't sound right. Like, it sounded like y'all both had feelings for each other. You both thought you were so cool. You tried to mess around. It didn't work out. And then you didn't want to ruin the friendship. But another part of me is like, well, maybe he said he wasn't attracted to her, that she was attracted to him, and then they just didn't want to ruin the friendship. I don't really remember. I don't know, because I'll be honest with you, like, later on in the relationship, Dolly was the cause of a lot of our turmoil in our relationship. So no matter what the narrative was back then, like, definitely was very, very fucking blatant as to what it was when we were in a relationship. So we'll get to that in future episodes, because that is something that I definitely know that I need some more therapy about before I can officially speak about it maturely, or maybe not. We'll see. Maybe in a week I'll feel more mature. Who knows? But anyways, I remember Dolly had come over. We chilled with her. I met her, whatever. And then yeah, a spring break happened, and they said they couldn't come to spring break because of financial things. So that's when we're gonna take over to part two. Because I know y'all probably like, well, what the fuck happened with April, Leah, Nia, France, Dusty, and we have a new character that we have to include, and her name is Bestie. But before we get to that, I do just want to give a major shout out to my self-care company, Ethereal by Loveatiya. You might have seen some ads on TikTok by now. And this is some like really exclusive information that a lot of people don't know yet. But I am actually going to be taking a bit of a pause for Ethereal. I don't know how long it's going to be. In my mind, I have an idea of the time period that it's going to be. But I have some major plans for a relaunch for Ethereal. I've been in business with my self-care company. Well, first of all, if you're new to this podcast, I own a vegan hair and skincare company, and it's 1,000% cruelty free. And I really want my line to be 100% sustainable. I realize that carrying a line full of glass can be very difficult, but I'm really trying hard to just find sustainable alternatives so that I'm not creating or adding any more waste into the environment. So I want my packaging to be more sustainable. I want everything to be sustainable. So going through that process, I just realized that I need to take a pause. Obviously, moving out of the country, it's a little bit hard to operate the reestablishment of a company from a whole other country. But, at first, I wanted to take a pause before I left to go to Mexico. I wanted to take a pause, like, from, say, April to August, honestly, to really get my shit together. But yeah, I definitely have big plans. So I say all that to say, if you are interested in shopping for my self-care company, or if you are an avid customer and have been a dedicated customer since the beginning, since my first year, my second year, my third year, or my fourth year in business, then I highly recommend that you stock up because just know I'm coming back. So you don't have to change up your self-care routine. You don't have to find a new company. There's no company out there that can compete with Ethereal. Seriously, like there's none. I was in the store the other day and I saw this company. I won't say their name, but we all know them. They're in like every store. They're owned by a white person, but they call themselves an all natural hair care brand. We've all used it. I really feel like saying the name, but I'm gonna see. Maybe I'll mention them in another episode. But yeah, their products don't work, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. They are a worldwide brand. They're even in Mexico. Their products do not work, and they leave me with fuzzy white shit in my hair. So yeah, I'm grateful that I'm not them. And I think that the products that I've used in the past that really have had like horrible effects on me and my hair and my skin have just taught me so much of what not to do for my company, which is why I'm so proud to say that my products actually work. And again, they're vegan and cruelty free, because if your products ain't cruelty free, they have cruelty in them. So always remember that. But yeah, so if you sign up for my Pleasure Positive email blast at loveatiya.com/sign up, I send out an email once a month, but you can get some coupon codes for my self-care. So yeah, it's a luxury self-care brand because you deserve the absolute best and the best ingredients. And I really invest in my shit. So check it out at loveatiya.com. And don't forget, you can get the coupon at loveatiya.com/sign up. And I do new coupons for every single month. So just stay up to date with that. And then I also send out monthly love notes. So you can, once again, head to loveatiya.com, and I have love notes, self-care tips, hair care tips. I have free product giveaways that I only talk about on my email blast. And again, I just send out monthly notes to remind you how special you are, because sometimes we need them. So yeah, you can sign up for that. It's free. All these signups are for free. And enjoy. Loveatiya.com. Before I get into this spring break story, I do want to talk about expensive sex toys and my vision on them, and why you don't have to pay like a crazy amount of money to be able to have a beautiful sex life. Now, one thing I will say is that cheap sex toys are not recommended at all. You will never hear me promote a sex toy that is cheap. You probably won't ever hear me promote a toy that's under like $35, and that's even a stretch, unless it's just like a really high quality toy. Like there are some toys that I use that are on the lower end of the pricing scale. I want to say the most expensive toy that I own is probably like $250. I know that my mom invested, I want to say a good amount. Part of me was like $170 in my very first sex toy that she ever bought for me when I was 16 years old. But let's keep in mind that sex toy still works. I was 16. I'm 28 now. 16 to 28? So my point is that when you invest in your toys, they last, especially the motor that is built into these toys. Nobody wants to have a faulty motor for their brand. You know what I'm saying? So my point is that although there can be expensive toys, there are also opportunities to use discount codes on them. For instance, shopsador.com, which is a Black-owned and a woman-owned online sex or adult toy boutique. So you can order online and get your products shipped to you super discreetly. So if you live with somebody and you don't want them all up in your business, or if you don't want the mailman to know exactly what you're ordering, then Sador is your place to order from. And you can use the code LOVEATIYA to get 15% off. Now, they have a wide array and collection of toys to choose from, but throughout all of my episodes, I always give a special shout out to a specific toy that I have fallen in love with of theirs. So you can tune into a couple of previous episodes to get the shout out. Check the descriptions. I put links. And also in my Pleasure Positive email blast, you can also see some toys that I shout out monthly. And you can check my archives if you've missed any of my previous months if you're not signed up already. But it's a free sign up. And you can sign up for that on loveatiya.com/sign up. But my point is, shopsador.com is your place, your one-stop shop for toys. So be sure to head there. And again, use the code LOVEATIYA for 15% off of your purchase. Now it's time for the part 2 or part 3 of this long-ass story. But this is all about spring break. And I'm going to kind of summarize it because there's just so much shit and I was so drunk I can't even remember. I'll just talk about the highlights. All right, so problem number 1 was that we went to fucking Panama City Beach. Panama Beach City? PCB. Panama City Beach. Yeah. It's Panama Center Beach? No, Panama City Beach. Who the fuck goes there? Okay, so we drove to Panama City Beach. I remember we were all broke, so that was problem number 2. Planning this was shit. You already know how it goes trying to plan something with a group of people. People be dropping out, all this stuff or whatever. So it ended up being a lot of us in the car. I don't know how we all fit. But like I said, it was me, April, Leah, Nia, Dusty. Wait, no, Nia didn't go. So it was me, April. Leah was April's best friend. Dusty, right? The guy that I used to fuck around with. Oh, we gotta give... Well, we'll just... okay, fuck. I just remember there's another character, but whatever, we'll come back to them. And then there was Bestie. And Bestie ends up being my real cool, close girlfriend and my confidant on this trip. And then we're going to call the other guy Bestie's boo. I don't even remember his name in real life, so that's very helpful. So Bestie's boo was there too, but he wasn't her boo yet, right? Okay, so we get to PCB. I remember I could only we could only afford one bag of edibles, so we all only had one edible or 2 edibles for that whole trip. But we went to the store, got a whole bunch of liquor, got back to the hotel, got wasted. But tell me why we had fucking bunk beds. Literally had 2 sets of bunk beds, right? So 4 beds, and then 1 major queen bed in the next sector. I remember we got so drunk when we got there that we ended up sleeping through the night and then all waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Why do I also remember before that even happened, I woke up a little bit before that and heard Dusty on his bed jerking off. I'm like, my nigga, you are literally in a room with fucking 7 people. Why do I hear you jerking off? This is fucking gross. Normally, hearing shit like that, being a voyeur or whatever, that would probably turn me on. But I was so uncomfortable, so fucking uncomfy, ugh. And then eventually Bestie and Bestie Boo started fucking around, and I was like, why am I in this room with y'all? I remember I was pissed because April and Leah got to sleep on the big bed while I'm on a motherfucking bunk bed, and it was just a lot. Also, they were all disgusting. So I remember there was a point where the toilet got flooded. I had to use the bathroom, and I went in after Leah. Leah had apparently just taken a shit, but the shit didn't go down the toilet. Now I have to take a shit, and I remember I came out, and I was like, Leah, you left your shit in the toilet. And I remember everybody started busting out laughing, and that was a goat move for me because, you know me, I was mad passive and a people pleaser, so nobody expected that from me, but... yeah, lift your shit in the toilet, bitch. What the fuck? But that humbled her. And I feel after that, she was definitely mad cool with me, which is really ironic. But I guess maybe I just wasn't bitchy enough to her for her to like me at first. But definitely, like I said, humbled her. And then, but I remember the toilet kept getting clogged to the point where it was literally shit water on the floor in the bathroom. And nobody was fucking disgusted by this. Nobody was disgusted by this. Housekeeping never came to our fucking hotel room. Never stepped foot in our hotel room. Never. So we were just walking around with shit water throughout the whole fucking Airbnb or a hotel. And then I remember when we went down to the pool, it was a whole bunch of white people, and when we went to the hot tub, it was a whole bunch of white people, and I looked up, on one of the balconies, there was a sign hanging, like a big flag that took over the whole balcony that said white power. Yeah. So while all of our friends were in Miami, while all of our other friends were in Miami, we're looking on Instagram stories and watching them just have a blast on South Beach, we were fighting racists. Yeah, we were fighting racism. So that was fun. All because we couldn't afford it. We literally I think we just couldn't afford it. Maybe we just didn't feel like doing that drive. I know PCB wasn't as far as Miami, but I remember it was so bad. Like, things were so whack to the point that we were like, yo, should we just drive to Miami for like a day and just turn up there? We really should have done that, honestly, but none of us wanted to be sober long enough to be able to do that. So yeah, I remember I took a shot off of Bestie's belly button at one point, and then somehow we ended up going to some party. We went to one party and it was like not letting people in, or it was shut down, or there was like a age limit or something. So we ended up going to a house party, and it was cops going up and down the block. It was a lot. But when we got to this house party, I don't even know how we discovered it. Why do I feel like somebody put me onto it? I feel like I met this cute guy on the resort, and he ended up not being shit, and me and him weren't even gonna fuck around or anything, but he told us about the party. So we get to the party, and lo and behold, apparently it's a whole bunch of like NFL players there. Supposedly, aka allegedly, I don't know. There was this one guy there. He looked like he was like 45 years old. I swear to everything I love. I was like, brother, what are you doing here? He had this like big like football ring. It was like, yeah, this is my ring. And he kept showing us the ring. Like, this is my ring. There was another guy there. It's so funny because there was this one guy that was like obviously very cute. And one thing about me is, I told y'all, I'll be pulling them. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it was my virgin essence. I don't know. I mean, I guess I still pull them now, but I'm just gay. So I mean, I was pulling them. So I made eye contact with this one guy, and I guess that like they were all trying to place dibs on him. So I think that like the consensus was like whoever he chooses, basically, like, then go with that. And he chose me because I'm that bitch. So yeah, he ended up like being with me a majority of that night. He took me on a tour around that house because they were being mad stush. Like, no, you can't go here, you can't go there, and now you gotta stay down here, this, that, and the third. He was like, fuck that. So he took me and he took April. And then his other friend, who I guess claimed to be a football player as well. And lo and behold, these two guys really were football players. The 45-year-old one with the ring, I think that he was impersonating to be somebody else. Because the name that he told us when we looked the person up, we're like, I don't think that that's you, brother. Unless you became a boxer and got your face beaten and your face changed, I don't think that this is you. I think you are literally lying about your identity. But if we Googled the two other guys, we definitely were able to find like, oh, they really did play for this team. They really did play for that team. So that was crazy. So this is where shit gets really fucking disgustingly sus, right? I remember they had a hot tub upstairs. And so it was me, the football player, and then my friend April and the other football player. And then we were separated in two different rooms. And I feel like his mattress was like on the floor. And I remember thinking like, y'all got money, but your mattress is on the floor? Like, it's just, stuff is not adding up, but okay. They had a hot tub, and their hot tub overlooked the beach, but it was so dark that we couldn't see the beach. And wow, I just remembered running down the beach in my panties. Anyways, well, not my panties, you'll hear. But so they're like, yo, let's get in the hot tub. But April was like, oh, I don't have panties on right now, so I don't know what to do. What? I don't know who suggested this. I'm like 99.9% sure that it was not me. I really, y'all, I'm telling you, but I'm whatever. I'll just say I don't know who suggested this. Somehow she ended up wearing my panties. Make it make sense. And then the guy, the football player that I talked to, ended up giving me his underwear. Like boxers, like quote unquote fresh boxers that he had packed in his bag. Oh my God, they were striped. And I'm so mad. I got rid of them when I got in my relationship because my ex found them and he was so mad. He was like, what if you found a girl's panties in my... Nigga, I found nudes in your phone. Fuck panties. Like, but anyways, I digress. Yeah. Gave her my panties, ended up wearing his shorts. But now I'm also remembering that I had just realized I was on my cycle. So I'm like, at what point between me giving her my panties and him giving me his stuff was my cycle not penetrating any of this? Like, it's just none of it's making sense to me, but this is exactly what happened. We got in the hot tub. I was sloshed. I remember we took pictures. I really wonder where these pictures are. Maybe on my Snapchat. And then I remember we got out the tub, went on the beach, ran to the water, got scared, ran back. That's crazy. It's really crazy that I remember this, y'all. Like, I need you to understand how drunk I was. Like, I literally remember they got a video of people pouring shots in my fucking mouth, like, of Crown Apple. Like, I was off the rocker because, remember, I was trying to get over Amari. So I'm like, I need to be as drunk as possible. This is even before the official depression set in. Like, I mean, I was subtly depressed or, like, unaware of the depression, but, like, the next day, it definitely hit me totally different. But anyways, I do remember walking back to the rooms with the guys, and I remember the other football player, like, with my friend, and, like, next thing I know, they fucked, apparently. Like, literally, they fucked. Like, why do I have a vision of her getting out the bed with him? But they had literally only known each other for, like, 3 hours, I want to say. Probably, like, 3 hours, if that, maybe 2. Yeah, it wasn't a long time. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think they ever talked again. I literally don't think that they ever talked again. So yeah, April fucked the football player, and that was my first time knowing, like, oh, this bitch is a whore. And granted, I couldn't judge. Like, my thing was making out with guys. You know, if I was fucking, maybe I mean, my period usually saves the day and helping me not make bad decisions. Or horrible decisions, in the words of the podcast, horrible decisions. So yeah, I remember, like, I had gotten to the room with my football player, and I think we were making out. And I'm trying to remember, I just remember him being really respectful. Like, I know I told him I didn't want to do anything. I think he wanted to eat me out, and I was like, oh no, I'm on my cycle or whatever. But even despite that, like, I just didn't want to do anything. So there was that. And then, yeah, what else happened? I just really appreciated him, like, not pushing it, I guess. That's all. And I feel like I remember I went to the bathroom, I could hear people fucking, but I'm like, did I hear my friend fucking? Anyways, I remember we all went back downstairs, and then that was basically it. Yeah. Now, I will say, once again, like, I definitely pulled the finest guy. Like, I could not believe that. Like, my self-esteem was so low, I could not believe that, like, he chose me. You know what I'm saying? But now looking back, I'm like, I'm a bad bitch, and I look like a bad bitch. So, duh. But then things started getting really catty, and I feel like one of the things that added to that was that I was getting so much attention from guys. And the attention that they were getting was from the fuglies. And even there were weird things that we would get into. Like, the guy Dusty was fucking fiending for pussy, yo. Like, it wasn't even funny how much he was fiending, to the point where I'm like, yo, somebody give him some pussy, because why are you fiending like this? I remember we ended up in some random black girl's hotel room, and it was 3 black girls, or two, I think it was 3 black girls, and they had fat asses, and me, April, and I think Leah were all sitting in these chairs, and they just started twerking on us, and had their dresses were coming up, their ass was just, like, in our face. I remember that. I remember that me, April, and Dusty, because now remember, me and Dusty, although we fucked around before, he acted like we had never done anything with each other before. But what's weird is that there was always this looming conversation of a threesome, and he was usually the head of it, and then April was usually co-signing, and he wanted the threesome to happen between me, him, and April, and it came up one too many times for my liking for me to be comfortable with it. So there was that aspect. I remember everybody started getting really whacked towards the end of the trip, and me, April, and Dusty all ended up going to this house party, just us 3, which was weird. And then when it was time to go, and, like, April was still fucking, like, trying to talk to niggas, it's like, girl, it's time to go. Like, I didn't even want to be here. And I feel like the only reason why we went was to, like, go, I think we went to go cop weed. That's what it was. That is what it was. Oh my God. We went to go cop, and on our way home, April calls us to Uber, right? We get in the car. Next thing I know, she gets an alert on her phone that says, your Uber has arrived. Bitch, whose car are we in right now if this is not our Uber? This bitch is so out of it that, like, she didn't panic. Like, she just was like, oh yeah, I don't think that this is our Uber. Like, girl, what? So I'm like, I want to get out. Like, I start freaking out. We get out, get in the right Uber. I'm fucking pissed. We get back to the place. Now, I also remember that we had just met this amazing group of people who I'm still in touch with today. Shout out to my good sis, right? My good sis had her boyfriend there, her sister, and I think her other sister there. We were Virgos. We were like really aligned, and they made me feel so seen because besides bestie, like on this trip, I just started feeling so isolated. Like I said, like the other girls started treating me away because I was pulling the guys, and ironically, like me and Leah had become somewhat cool in the midst of me and April having some turmoil. But yeah, like April just switched up on me, so it seemed. Leah, like I said, became cool. Bestie was cool, but Bestie was also with her boo sometimes. So it was nice to have like this other group of people show up. But then like my friends on the friend group started treating them like shit. Like they invited them over and then literally like to our hotel room and then literally ostracized them, and we're trying to like plot how to get them out, and we're like, oh yeah, we don't want to smoke with them, we don't want to share the weed, this, that, and the third. So why would you invite them over? Like you literally called them over to ostracize them and to make them feel crazy. So that made me feel really just fucked up because these were really amazing people, like I said, and I thought we all had a bond. So the fact that my friends then went and acted like mad fake, I feel like that was just such a reflection of who I was. Like, I remember having a conversation with my good sis afterwards, like, please know that they are not a reflection of who I am. Like, I'm so sorry that y'all felt so uncomfortable. And they ended up leaving. Like, at one point, everybody in the movie started ignoring them. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, and they were the spearheaders of being like, oh, they should come over. Another part of me, though, now that I'm looking back on it, feels like maybe they invited them over because they thought they were going to bring like weed or something. Because they were definitely, like, my friend group was definitely a group of users at the time. So maybe that's what they thought, but they definitely like ostracized them. And when we got back to the place, it seemed like at one point everybody wanted to go out and then nobody wanted to go out. So when we got back to the place with the weed, I'm inside entertaining the other group of friends, right? The new group of friends. And well, tell me why April and fucking Dusty are outside smoking. And now I know for a fact that we went 3 ways on the weed. So how on earth are y'all gonna start the siph without me when I literally put in for the weed? Like that, it's just little shit like that. Like I know for a fact that I blacked. I know I blacked, and I had a whole attitude that night. I want to say there was another day that we had there, like the last day, and I wanted to party, and so I just wanted to be distracted. We had gone to another party at some point. I don't remember when this was in the timeline. We went back to the football player's house, and I was so drunk. Like, I was so drunk, and I have these videos on Snapchat of me, like, I literally just had a shot of vodka, a shot of Henny, a shot of fucking, like, tequila, a shot of, what's that called? Crown Apple. Like, I was off my shit. Like, it was really, 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 really crazy. I was really trying to, like, drown my sorrows because I know I had drunk texted Amari, and then Leah had actually taken my phone because she was like, you don't need to be drunk texting him. I remember I had given a pair of my pants to April because I'm like, why does April never have shit, like her own shit? And then April had left, and I'm like, bitch, you have my pants. Like, I literally need my pants. And she's like, okay. And like, she had an attitude with me or whatever. So the last day, she just went to like go do like, I guess, fun shit, like go to like this amusement park or whatever. But I didn't want to do that. Like, I didn't want to go. I didn't have the money for it. None of us had the money for it. But her mom was rich, so I guess she didn't really care. But yeah, I remember at one point I literally threw a temper tantrum. I was on the floor kicking and screaming. No, seriously, like jokingly, but not. Like, I was so pissed because I feel like nobody was paying attention to what the fuck I had to say. Then she went off on me for that. Like, duh, I was being immature, but we were all being immature. So why do I get pinpointed for that? But I just felt so isolated. And then the very last day, before we officially hit the road, I remember we had decided to do banana boats. And this is when things got really fucking hectic. And, you know, at a time like this, I really wish that I had fucking Heaven High NYC's information. If you're not aware of who that is, if you are just oblivious to my podcast and this is your first time listening, Heaven High NYC is a plant medicine shop. So they sell shrooms and edibles and weed and everything that you need plant medicine wise. It just makes you feel so motherfucking amazing. But when I say that the quality is of the highest capacity, I'm telling y'all, like, I wouldn't put y'all into something crazy. Heaven High NYC is mind-blowing in the way of customer service is amazing. If you are a pothead, you know it's very hard to find somebody in the industry of like cannabis that is consistent. It's just hard. I don't know why, which is why I've stuck with Heaven High NYC, because I feel like I really found my people, you know? So if you're looking for a consistent a consistent batch of good shit, no matter what you order, then I highly recommend checking out heavenhighnyc.com. You sign up for their menu, they send it immediately, and then you place your order. It's very easy. The instructions are on the menu. And don't forget to mention Loveatiya, because you'll get an extra little something in your goodies when you mention me. So yeah, mention Loveatiya for some good shit. heavenhighnyc.com. And if you love jewelry, and if you're a fashionista, you're looking for a way to like spruce up your wardrobe and just make yourself feel better and just get like a good confidence boost when it comes to like your fashion sense, or if you're just looking to upgrade your style, I highly recommend checking out imanijewelry.com. It is a Black-owned, women-owned, and operated jewelry company of like literally designer jewelry. Everything is handmade, and what makes this company extra special is that my mom actually owns it. You know, anything that has to do with my lineage is going to be something amazing. So the reason why I am such an amazing businesswoman today is because of my mom. So it's guaranteed that like the customer service is superb for Imani Jewelry. The packaging is superb, but the jewelry is out of this world. I told y'all about Tata ticklers in my last episode, where it's literally jewelry that tickles your like titties, your tatas. She has neck pieces, bracelets, all in ones, which can be worn as like a headpiece, neck piece, bracelet, choker, belt. Literally, it's all in one. Anklet. She sells actual like charm anklets and bracelets, and ain't no like. And when I say charm, I'm not talking about, you know, the company that starts with a P. No, I'm not talking about them. Fuck that. I'm talking about like fine, beautiful, unique, one of a kind jewelry. No one's gonna have the piece that you have, and that's what makes them so amazing. So you can use the code LOVEATIYA and you will get 10% off of your purchase. So feel free to shop today and enjoy. Back to this trip now. At the end of the trip, I told y'all that we had like one last shebang of fuck shit. We went to the beach and ended up, and now there are other things that probably happened, I just can't remember right now. But I remember we went to the beach and ended up doing a banana boat. It was me, April, Leah, and Bestie. And I'm trying to think of how banana boats are. I feel like me and April were on one side and maybe Bestie and Leah were on another side. All I know is that I was in the back, and I think that Bestie might have been in the back as well. So I don't know if you've ever seen the banana boat, but it's like, I don't even know how to describe it, but you're just on this like tube type thing. My body was not supposed to be in the water at any point during this, right? The instructor in the fucking ocean in Florida said, put a thumbs up if you want to go faster. Put a thumbs down if you want to go slower. I'm like, okay, we are going slow as fuck on this motherfucker, because first of all, I used to want to be a marine biologist. I told y'all. So I have this like vast knowledge of the ocean, and I don't want to fall in. Like, and then the further out that we got, the more dark the water got. We had life vests, sure, but did I have my sanity in this moment? No, I was panicked. Don't you know that at one point we started going so fucking fast, they started putting their thumbs up? April and Leah literally said, like, this is not a fucking game. I literally, at one point, y'all, my whole body, like the whole lower half of my body. Now, if you know me, you know I have some long ass limbs. The entire lower half of my body was flapping on the ocean waves. It was so painful, but I refused to let go, because if I let go, I was never going to be found again. You know why? Because I was going to drown of a panic attack. Because you know why? Because I knew that a shark was going to come up and get me, so I'd rather just perish before that even happened to me. When I tell you I held on for dear life to the point where my fingers were probably like embedded in the holding straws, and I kept trying to say like, slow down, like I'm screaming for dear life, because these bitches hate me, specifically April. She's doing this shit on purpose, I swear to God. And my feet are literally burning at this point because they're flapping on the ocean surface as we are going on this fucking boat speeding. So finally he gets us to slow down to get our composure, but I'm exhausted at this point. Bestie is exhausted at this point. Our feet hurt, our hands hurt. We've been clinging on for dear life. Why do these bitches tell them to go faster again? Why are we going fast again? We started going fast again. I started falling off again, holding on for dear life again. I refuse to let go. I'd rather not have feet left at the end of this boat ride than let go and be in the ocean. I refuse. There was no way that my body, thinking about it gives me anxiety. There was no way that my body could be submerged in that water and I wouldn't just like vanish mentally. Like I would have had a mental breakdown. So yeah, why I even was on that in the first place, knowing I had this fear, we're not even gonna talk about that. So yeah, I was fucking pissed. Just know that at the end of this whole trip, I never, ever, 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 like, we did not talk. Like, on that whole trip home, we never talked. We never said a word to each other. Oh, I know you think it stops there, but it doesn't. Now, thanks to my horrible trip, I didn't even tell y'all, the last day of the trip, I literally ended up sleeping downstairs in the hotel. No, yeah, I didn't even sleep in the room. First of all, the room was fucking disgusting. Second of all, I hated everybody there. Like, except for Bestie and Bestie Boo. They're the people that were checking in on me. Actually, believe it or fucking not, y'all. On the last night, Leah, right? So April's best friend ended up coming downstairs to talk to me. And that was really crazy because I had just had enough. I had enough. I couldn't take it anymore. Leah ended up coming downstairs to talk to me, and I vented to her, and she was like, I really want you to come back up, but if you just need your space, I understand. And I really appreciated that. Like, this is the first time I'd ever seen her have real humility. I mean, this whole trip had really taught me a lot about her, and I really appreciated that. I actually wonder where she's at now. Like, I feel like she just needed to kind of separate from the group. I don't think that she was a bad person. I feel like it was just like circumstantial. But yeah, I do wonder where she's at. And she had this fine ass brother too. I wonder where he's at. I really wonder where he's at. And it's mad funny because I'd actually seen Leo on TV one time. She was she was working for somebody. She was working for a celebrity, so that's kind of crazy. So good for her. I'm happy that it seems like she kind of found her footing in everything. But with that being said, me and Bestie ended up being really close, and Bestie's boo became Bestie's boo for real. Like, they were really locked down. I don't know if it was her boo or if it was her that went to this school, but they went to a school in Georgia that was going to have like this night at Six Flags. Like, I guess the school had literally like rented out Six Flags for the night, Six Flags of Georgia. So she had invited me because she knew that I just needed to like get out the house and just like have a good time and like make up for our horrible ass spring break. Now, one thing was that Dusty was going to be there, and Dusty was going to be there with this girl. Oh my God. So this reminds me that one of the reasons why Dusty had such commitment issues was because I think Dusty's girlfriend had cheated on him. And so when I met Dusty, like, originally, it was after this initial cheat had happened and he was like all heartbroken. You already know how that goes. Like, when you meet a man who's been fucked over by a girl, like, it's just, oh my God, like, you get the wrath of all of that. So there was that. But apparently he met us there at Six Flags and bought this girl. And I remember thinking, like, isn't this the girl that you said did you dirty and broke your heart and cheated on you and all this stuff, and now you're back with her? She kind of reminded me of what's that show? Is it Chucky? It's not Bride of Chucky. It's like that cartoon with the girl. She's kind of pale. She has big eyes and a short haircut, but it's like a horror movie. And she kind of like, it's like claymation kind of, but it's not Coraline. I can't remember I think it might be Bride of Chucky, but it's not, I don't know. I have to Google it, but she kind of looked like that. Pretty girl, but she's just like, I don't know. It was weird. I feel like at one point I tried to be really friendly to her and she was like not having it at all. Like, it was so awkward to the point where I had to like walk away. And I know Bestie followed me, and I remember we had separated from that whole group and we had like a moment we were dancing in the middle of Six Flags. Like, Bestie was such a fucking vibe. I don't really know what happened to our relationship, honestly. We didn't have a falling out or anything like that. Like, I think she was just an angel in my life. Like, I literally think that she was just there at the right times, and she was very supportive of me. And I think I spoke to her maybe last year about something. But yeah, she definitely has had like a lot happen in her life since then. But with that being said, she was just a really, really good support system, and I'm really, really grateful for her for this time in my life. She was really a sweetheart. But ended up waiting online, right, for these swings. And I remember Bestie and Bestie's booth were together. Dusty and his girl were together. And then it was me. I was straight up third wheeling. Like, I was just so mad. Like, I was seething. I saw myself at the end of the night punching somebody in the head. Like, I just saw it. That's somebody either being Dusty or his boo. Because I feel like I remember his boo saying something slick to me. Like, I feel like there was definitely beef. Like, it was a problem. It was definitely, she was not friendly. She was not trying. And I remember Bestie was trying to be nice to her. And she was the girl was such a bitch. I was like, why are you trying to be nice to her? She's like, I'm just trying to keep the peace because, like, Bestie's boo, he'll be mad at me if I'm not, trying to just be cordial with everybody. So I'm like, I get it. So we end up waiting on this line. I think it wasn't for the Superman. I think it was for the Batman. Wow. I really think it was for the Batman. We get online. Next thing I know, I hear, Atiya? why the fuck is Amari and Latif standing in this line at Six Flags with this girl? We gonna call her Bob because she had the name of a man, and that's all I got for her. So yeah, ended up seeing them with Bob, a random friend, random coworker or whatever, and I instantly was like, doses, I'm out. Literally ditched my whole entire friend group, went to go be with Amari and Latif, and was like, fuck this shit, because Amari had apparently gone, not apparently, I knew this, but Amari went to the same school as whoever invited us to that night at Six Flags. So I told you the school rented out that night for Six Flags. Now I had no idea that Amari was going to be there. I literally didn't. Amari never left his house. I never had seen Amari out of his house except for the time that we went to the silent party. So yeah, there was that. Like I didn't expect that at all. And then to see them in the same line as us, like it just felt really kismet. It was really, really, really fucking crazy. So we ended up So was our date after this? No. Wait, maybe our date was after this. Remember the date that I told y'all about in the coffee shop? Maybe the date was after this, because that would make sense. And his hair matched how it matched when we went to the coffee shop. I don't even know. The timeline, like I said, is fucked up. But anyways, I ended up spending my entire day with them. At Six Flags. It was we went there that night, but the entire night with them, had a great little time, went back. But then I ended up driving back with Bestie and Bestie's boo, but they dropped me off at Amari and Latif's house because the girl had driven Amari and Latif to their house. Come to find out, apparently, fast forward in life, Amari had apparently lived with the girl at some point. Like when they left their student housing and they separated, apparently, Latif went to go stay with Dolly, and then Amari ended up staying with Bob. And then later on, he told me that Amari and Bob fucked around. But then he also told me that Latif and Bob fucked around. None of this was making sense because Bob was Bob. Think of what a girl would look like if her name was Bob. That's what Bob gave. So I was like, what the fuck? I made this, and I don't like calling people ugly. I really don't. So I'm not going to call anybody ugly. We are all God's children. But I would just say that I was the best looking girl that my ex ever fucked with. Based on the track record that I'm seeing, I'm like, what the fuck? Now, he went for girls with low self-esteem. So maybe these girls are really beautiful. Again, I was looking through the eyes of a girl with low self-esteem as well. So maybe I don't like, again, I'm not trying to talk shit, but I'm just saying, brother, how did you think that you could pull me? And how did you pull me? And these girls. But anyways, I just felt like I needed to say that. I know that's fucked up. Let me be fucked up for a second. Not fucking Princess Diana or whoever these hierarchies are. So we got back to the house, probably fucked around with Amari, honestly. Because if I know me, I was probably drunk or got drunk when I got there. And then, yeah, that was that. Now, fast forward again, we had this new group of friends from spring break, right? Now, me and April still weren't cool. Me and Dusty still weren't cool. But somehow I remember Nia, right? So we're back with Nia now. Nia's the one whose house was at the student housing. That's why we were able to have all these parties and get-togethers and stuff. Although Nia didn't come with us to spring break, she still hosted this party. Now I remember the Sigma that I had made out with was supposed to be there, and that was gonna be great for me because I'm like, oh my god, I need to get over Amari. I just cannot. This is I think this is after Six Flags, but now once again the timeline isn't really making sense to me. Because but I know for a fact that it was Six Flags and then this party. But I don't know when this party happened. And I'm like, well, when did the date happen? But fuck the date. It happened. All right. So I just know nothing came of it. So I do remember I, again, was not talking to Amari after this, right? So I don't know what transpired after Six Flags, but I just know that we weren't talking after that. And I remember I had invited Latif, and I guess Latif had invited Dolly to this get-together, to this party on the rooftop. So Latif hadn't shown up. None of them had come. Amari hadn't come. He was nowhere to be found. Eventually, April and Dusty showed up. And why do I feel like they came at the same time? And I was like, you trifling bitch. Because I was already mad at her. Because I'm like, you already lied about not giving head to what you call it, to Dusty. You were being so shady and so like ostracizing on the trip in Panama City Beach. And then I slept downstairs in the hotel room until it was time to go. I mean, in the hotel lobby. I can't even believe they let me do that in the hotel. Like, what was this, a Holiday Inn? I don't know. It was so rinky-dink. I don't even think it was a Holiday Inn. I don't even know what it was. But yeah, I literally remember they let me sleep in the lobby downstairs because I couldn't stand to be in that place. And I remember I had only gotten dibs on the bed one time. Like, I literally only got to lay on that bed one time, and it was with Dusty. I was like, are you fucking serious? Out of all people? Out of all fucking people? I just had a random flashback about that, hence why I just threw that in there. But yeah, so through this party, I was wasted. And I remember we had made some really cool guy friends. They were like in a singing group. We met them in PCB. Were they from Georgia? I think they were from somewhere else, like Virginia or something, but they lived in Georgia. And that was another thing I had appreciated, because like when we first met them, we met them on the beach, and it was very hard to find black people down in PCB. So when we met them, like we were like, cousin. But one of the guys, he like roasted me and was like, yo, your feet mad big. And I don't know, he was just so endearing. So I know that I didn't nurture that friendship the way that I should have. And if he ever hears this podcast, like I hope he hits me up so that we can like rekindle our friendship. But he was really cool. I wonder, I don't think and that was the other thing, like I never felt like he wanted to fuck or anything like that. You can't put it past the guy. But me and him, like I was so affectionate with him, like that was my baby. Like not in the way of my baby romantically, but like I don't know, it's just something about him, I just loved him so much. So yeah, we were really cool. He ended up coming through, so I really appreciated that. But y'all, I got so fucking drunk. By the time Latif and Dolly had gotten there, I was wasted beyond compare. And I was so over the place, again, trying to distract myself from the fact that Amari was only a couple of, like, I guess, floors away from me, that a song came on. Me and Bestie got up to twerk to it. I stand up on this ledge, on the rooftop, mind you, right? Okay, so I'm still alive, so you know that it doesn't end too badly. I stand on this ledge, drunk as fuck. I already don't have balance when I'm sober. Bend over to twerk, 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 face plant into like a bushel of sticks. It was like a rose bush that had no roses. It was just thorns and sticks, literally face planted. So my face caught the fall first, and then my hands. I was so drunk that the pain didn't even hit me until after I looked at the damage. And I remember I had a cut on my leg. I had cuts all over my hands and my wrists. And then I had this huge gash on my face. Everybody was like, oh, it was almost like the record screeched. And fucking, why does Latif have a video of this? Like, I remember he sent me a fucking video of me, like, face putting into the bushes. I gotta find this shit. But yeah, definitely not my brightest moment. So everybody was like, what the fuck? So Bestie took care of me. She's like, Bestie, is gonna be okay. Like, it's gonna be okay. And I was like, I'm ugly. Like, I just remember having videos of me being like, I'm ugly. Like, I just kept saying that. And then at some point, I was supposed to go downstairs and, because the party, we got kicked out. And the party had moved down to Nia's house. And I guess I had stayed upstairs for something. And then I went back to Nia's house. But I was just so irritated that, and I just kept walking past. I remember I had walked past Amari's house. And then I went back upstairs because I left my charger up there. And then somebody stole my charger. So then I was pissed about that. I'm like, somebody stole my fucking charger. I have a gash in my face. I'm ugly. Nothing's going well for me. Like, my crush didn't come. Dusty's here. It's just so much fuck shit. So I go back downstairs, and as I'm walking downstairs, I start singing a song, right? And I think subconsciously I was praying to God that, like, magically Amari would just, like, hear me. I don't know. Like, I don't know. And I remember I was singing some song, and then, yeah, Amari opened his door, and I was like, it's fate. He knows I need him. And then, yeah, literally, I feel like I say literally so much in the story, but he told me to come inside. He saw my face, and he called himself, like, taking care of me, and he had got some peroxide and some Band-Aids and stuff. And we talked, and we fucked around. And I remember was this the day that, I keep saying I remember, but I'm like, was it? But I think this was the day that I might have called him Dusty's name when we were fucking around by accident. Yeah, I think that definitely happened. And And I feel like we had some dumbass talk. I can't remember what the talk was about. It might be in my script somewhere, honestly. Maybe it'll be more vivid after I look over that. But yeah, we had some talk. And then I went along my merry way after that. I don't even know. I might have spent the night. I don't even know if I spent the night though. I feel like I ended up spending the night at Nia's house. I don't even think I spent the night there. But I do remember him helping take care of me. I do remember him like with the Band-Aids and the peroxide and stuff like that. So I appreciated that because basically I was left for dead because everybody else was drunk. So no one knew how to take care of me. He was the only one that hadn't come upstairs. So I guess that he was relatively sober. So yeah, I really can't remember if I spent the night or not. But I know that this part is in it is in Pure 2. And it's crazy because I think that we even recorded this part. Like I remember putting the silly putty on my face and having like a gash on my face, and I wore the same exact outfit that I wore. Wow, I should release that. I should release that part of it specifically. But I don't know what I'm gonna do with Pure 2, to be honest with you, with what we recorded thus far. I definitely wouldn't put the parts of my ex in it, but yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But anyways, my point of all of this is to say, like, in my mind, everything was always so kismet. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the time, I was like, wow, he came outside and, like, at the same time that, like, that he knew I needed him. And it was just, it's so sad. And I really, there's this post that my mom sent to me. And it says, I heard someone once say, healing can be so hard when your inner child wants love. Your teenage self wants revenge, and your current self only wants peace. And it's like it was such a battle between all of those people, all of those me's, all those versions of me within me, because I just wanted love so badly. And in the words of her, I was looking for love in all the wrong places. So that's a really good song, by the way, Wrong Places by her. So yeah, now that y'all have some backstory, I'm sure that this will release some thoughts in my mind to be able to tell y'all about how we ended up actually being in a relationship, because that's it. Like that's all I remember really happening of me and him. Like I said, you know, maybe after the situation I went on a date with him, but no, because I didn't have a gash on my face. So the date definitely happened before all of this, and the date definitely happened before Six Flags, because I had no gash on my face. Skirt! All right, so this is the portion where I amend a couple of things, because this episode was actually created in April, so we have a lot of updates. So before the episode ended, I just wanted to make sure that I clarified a couple of things. So according to Snapchat, the timeline of the way that things went was I met Amari and Latif. I fucked around with Amari. I went to California in February. Spring break happened after that in, I think it was March. And then in March, we also had friends come over to, I think it's Nia's house. And that's when I got the gash on my face. Apparently, the gash had healed. But when I looked at the picture, like when I get my membership page or whatever I decide to do at the beginning of the year, I'm going to post a picture of my face with the gash, because it was fucking crazy. And it's not gruesome, but it's not cute. It's definitely a deep cut. But I say that to say, I just want y'all to know like how intoxicated I was. And I'm going to post all my drunk videos in that vault as well for y'all. But that's the beginning of the year, so we have something to look forward to. All right, so then it was the gash on my face. Yes, I was walking by singing or saying something to myself. I don't even know what was happening, and then he did happen to come out his house and brought me inside. I then spent the night at his house that night, right? No, I did not. I don't remember that. According to Snapchat, I cannot quite remember that part. But I do know that for Six Flags, I did spend the night at his house. And the craziest part about it was I was taking mad videos of him like a creep, of him sleeping. But I mean, like, it was with me in the picture. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just taking pictures of people sleeping. But anyways, this is not a time to judge. I will say that I thought it was kismet. I don't know if I included this part in this episode. I don't think I remember hearing it. But when it was time for both of us to leave, because him and Amari and Latif had to go somewhere as well. So we all left the house at the same time, and we all called the Uber. They called the Uber and I called the Uber. And we just so happened to get the same exact Uber. I guess this is back when they would have like Uber share or whatever. So we just so happened to call the same Uber. So we thought that was so kismet. Like, oh my God, we're in the same Uber. It's fate. Like, not only did we happen to see each other at Six Flags, happen to be in the same line with each other at Six Flags, and then we call the Uber the next day and it's the same Uber. It just felt like, oh, it's meant to be. So that kind of fed into my delusion of that's my man. And then shortly after that, we had the date. I don't know about how long that was, or the time difference between that, but I think it was maybe like a month afterwards, if anything, if maybe less than that. And that was the date at the coffee shop. Okay, so those are that's the amendments in regards to this story. And then the only other thing I wanted to make an update on was Pure the series is now out on YouTube, so you can check that out. The episodes are still uploading, but this is season 1 for those of you who missed it. It's a re-upload, so you can check that out and be sure to subscribe to my YouTube, so that you can stay abreast as to when the future episodes come out. And I have some super exciting things coming your way as well in regards to just creativity and content creation as a whole, so stay tuned. But last but not least, as for Ethereal, so as you all know, I did a shout out in the beginning of this episode about Ethereal, and I stand by everything I said, but I will be doing one final shipment of this year, and that shipment is happening in November. So if you would like to support my self-care company, and if you need some hair and skincare products, or if you've already been a major supporter of Ethereal for the last couple of years and want to re-up on some products, and I recommend you head to the site, because we will not be shipping again until next year. I don't have a specific date for that. So yes, November is the last shipment of the year, so be sure to place your orders. All right, that's it for my updates. I'm going to end it with my sign out and with the conclusion from this episode, and that's it. I love y'all so much, and thanks for tuning into this wild ride. So yeah, that's the story. Again, if I remember stuff, I'll include it in the next episode, but it was really wild. Like 21, 22 was a wild time for me, and I'm so proud of myself for really working on my self-love. And like I said, like, my self-care company literally has helped me so much, like, fall in love with myself. I mean, and I know that sounds crazy, but maybe it doesn't. Like, I've been forced to take care of myself because I'm creating these products that I want to help other people use to take care of themselves. You know what I'm saying? So I have to take care of myself before I could do that. So I feel like that's where my self-care company came in. But I did a lot of work. I was in therapy, but it was long distance. Was I in therapy? I feel like I was in therapy. I feel like I was, but maybe I had taken a break when I moved to Atlanta. Maybe I wasn't in therapy, now that I think about it. And I can't really remember what else I was doing to try to really heal. Like, I was really just distracting myself. I was just getting drunk, getting high, doing background work, working a whole bunch of jobs. I was a bartender. I was an actress. I was, what else did I do? I mean, I did a lot. I just can't remember right now, but I did a fucking lot. So yeah, that was my life. I mean, you know, I have no regrets. I have stories to fucking tell, but just to know that I really settled for being somebody's second is something I would never, ever, ever do again. And it makes me wonder if that's why, one, I have this perpetuated idea in my mind that all men cheat, but two, it makes me wonder if that's why I have this vision when it comes to polyamory, because I'm like, I don't feel like you can be Well, I actually think that's why it was so hard for me in my polyamorous relationship. And it's so funny because I just checked her Instagram, my first lesbian partner, to see if she was still following me, because I was just curious. And she was. And that made me so happy. But I don't know why it made me so happy, but it just did. And yeah, it just, I don't know. I still have to say that I think that in my polyamorous relationship, I felt like it got sour when I started feeling like I was second. And that was probably reminiscent to when I felt like I was second in being a side chick. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I couldn't expect to be put first in any of these situations until I put myself first. And I wasn't putting myself first. And I think that was the biggest thing. So if I had to leave anybody with anything, if this situation, like, reminds you of something that you've been through, sometimes I think we live for the drama, and we live for the story, and we live for the chaos, you know, because it's a welcome distraction. But is it really all that welcome? You know, like, I really don't feel like my spirit felt good in this. And I really had to constantly distract myself from the distractions. And when you have to distract yourself from the distractions, you know, like, that's when you should evaluate things. So I'm in a much better place now. Would I ever be in a situation like this again? No. I also realized that friend groups in general just are not for me. That's why I prefer to have individual friends. You know, like I said, when I go to Atlanta, I'm probably going to have like all my friends together, because I just won't have the time to have individual hangouts like that. But I also feel like I've been choosing healthier friendships. So hopefully it's not the same as when I was with friends that needed like major healing. Because I needed major healing, and I feel like I'm finding that healing, you know. Honorable mention, but in this friend group, I do also remember that I told you my friend's mom was rich, and so she had this like property that my friend was able to use for like this house party one time. And it was a really big property, but I remember this was the first time that I ever had like a one night stand, and there was this guy. He wasn't that cute. I see him in my head right now. Ended up like making out with him at the party. Like, this is an honorable mention. Ended up making out with him at this party. This is before, I think this is before all this stuff with like Amari and Latifah. Like, I don't even think I knew them at the time. And I don't think I had met Nia either. But yeah, made out at this party. Ended up like making out at the pool when everybody was gone. It was like so romantic, this, that, and the third. And then I remember we went into this like other dark room. And what's so scary is that there were so many instances where like assaults could have happened, and like my no could have not been enough as like my other assaults happened later on in life. But it's just crazy that like I was put in these predicaments and found myself in these predicaments that were really unsafe, but because I was so drunk and because I was so just trying to distract myself at all times, even before there was Amari and Latifah, I told you there was Dusty that I was trying to distract myself from. So just all of these detrimental situations that I was in where it was like, wow, my decision making was not the best, and I'm grateful that some of these situations didn't end up with more trauma than I was left with, because it was a lot. But yeah, I remember he ended up eating me out from what I can remember. I don't remember if I gave him head, and I feel like I usually can pretty vividly remember when I give somebody head, even though I said that I couldn't remember if I gave that other guy head in the bathroom. But yeah, remember that he ate me out. But one thing I remember about him eating me out was that we had just gotten out the pool, and I remember he was like biting my clit. And I always talk about this in my story times, like on my TikToks. I'm always like, oh yeah, when he bites your clit, like I'm talking about this because he really thought that he was doing something. He was like, oh yeah, like okay, calm down, fucking beaver. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, what's that? Is that from Bridesmaids or from Groundhog Day when they're like, oh, that's Easy A, and he's a woodchuck. Calm down, you fucking woodchuck, like fucking biting the shit out of my clit. So yeah, I'll always have that memory. But I remember after that we didn't speak. He left. I spent the night in the mansion or wherever we were at, and then I found out that he later on had a kid, and that was interesting. I remember I was like, I cannot believe I'm not a man with a child eat me out. Like what? Oh gosh, such a virgin. So yeah, definitely I feel like I honestly had more crazy experiences as a virgin than I did like being sexually active, because I can count on two hands how many times I had penetrative sex. But the amount of times I got eaten out, oh my God, I gotta tell y'all about the guy that we fucked around and his little sister was in the house. And I think that his little sister was his child. Like, I'm convinced that was his child. He looked just like her, and she looked nothing like the parents. And the parents were so much older. I was like, how did y'all have her? Like, none of it was making sense. But anyways, different story for a different time. Long story short, choose your friends wisely. Don't let them choose you. If you're in a friend group and that shit feels toxic, leave, because you will be put in some really fucked up predicaments. If you go away on spring break, get your own place, yo, so that you can just retreat to it and you don't have to sleep downstairs in a hotel lobby, because that is really insane. Like, I can't believe I'm just not remembering that part. Like, yeah, definitely make sure that you have your own back, and pray that you have a bestie out there like the one that I had on the trip. And it's crazy because I ended up actually bumping into April when I was doing some background work again later on in life, and I was actually in my relationship at that time, and she was really cool. She had told me that she had gotten her own place, which I was really proud of, because I know she was living with her mom at one point. And yeah, I think that at one point I had considered rekindling a friendship, but then because I was with my ex, because it was my boyfriend at the time, I just didn't trust that. And then there was one more instance I remember back then, before I was with my ex, that this must be after the party, because I remember I told him that I had a job interview, right? So this is after the party where I gashed my face. I had a job interview and I had to take a drug test, and he had told me to take this thing called Serto. And I'm not telling y'all to take that shit because it did not work. And then he said to like drink a gallon of water. And I remember I had not smoked for like 3 days, and then I was so proud of myself because that was really big, going from smoking every day to not smoking for 3 days. But I went on like his Snapchat or whatever, or her Snapchat or somebody's Snapchat, and saw that him, Leah and April were, no, I'm sorry, not Leah, him, Nia and April. So Nia's the one that owned the place, the student housing place. Nia, April, and him were all hanging out. And why do I feel like I remember there was a point in time when he said that he would have fucked April? Because that was definitely a thing. I feel like he said that he would have fucked her, but she was a hoe, so he wasn't gonna fuck her. He told me that either when we were fucking around at first, or at the end of us fucking around. At some point, he definitely told me that he would have fucked her, but she was a hoe. So, and we were all fucking hoes at the time. So, like, I'm not slut-shaming her at all, but that's what he said. So, I remember thinking, like, wow, he's probably fucking her. Like, why is she over there? She didn't even fuck with him. She literally didn't like him, and that was the craziest part about it all. Like, she made it very clear that she loved Latif, but she did not fuck with Amari. At all. Like, at all. She felt like he was no good for me. And that was another reason why I'm like, does she have a lesbian crush on me? Because why are you going so hard for him? Like, why do you not like him? But she just felt like he was so inauthentic. And she was right. She hit the nail on the motherfucking head. She was right. But in my mind, my ego was like, girl, you probably got a crush on me or him or both of us or whatever. Because, again, her track record wasn't all that great because of Dusty. So, long story short, when I found out that they were all hanging out together and possibly fucked, to this day I still wonder if they fucked. He said they didn't, but I still wonder if they did. Yeah, I smoked. I smoked the night before my drug test. Yeah, I'm not proud of it at all. And then I remember I took the Serto, which was null and void at that point because I had smoked. And then I had tried to like down a gallon of water and literally almost threw up because I was about to get water poisoning. Yeah. I remember I was like chugging. I couldn't stop. And then I had to like lay down in my car because I literally was like, it was really bad. It was really fucking bad. Told y'all I got emetophobia, so I remember shit like that. But yeah, ended up not passing my drug test. Hopefully I just wasn't supposed to have that job because yeah, that was that. And that's all I can remember. That's the story of my freaking spring break. So yeah. Woo, what a life. But I'm really, again, grateful for the stories. I'm grateful for the memories. It was definitely a lot. This is basically what y'all would have seen in Pure 2. So just envision all that shit. You know, will I ever make Pure 2 again? Who knows? You know, I gotta do that shit before. I mean, I'm actually probably never going to age because I'm vegan. I mean, I'm going to age-wise, but physically, I'm probably going to look young forever because I don't be eating animals. So, yeah. And I take care of myself and, you know, I work out and all that good stuff. Oh, my God. In my next episode, oh, man. I meant to talk about that in this episode. Okay, well, we'll see when these come out. But in my next episode, I'm going to talk all about my experience with pole dancing and how that truly changed my life forever. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm super excited about that because, wow. Like, and specifically this one pole dancing studio, I, like, really kept it to myself, I'll be honest with you, because I just wanted something for my own. Like, can I have something? Can I live? But anyways, I'm going to leave y'all with that, with this story time. Again, my tip, this is not necessarily a masturbation tip, but my tip to end it with is just do some things to practice self-worth, like taking care of yourself and nurturing your relationship with yourself so that you can have better relationships with other people, because this was a lot and definitely took a toll on my self-esteem and my self-worth, even further than a toll had already been taken. So anyways, I have no beef with these people that were mentioned. I don't think that any of these people are the same people that they were fucking like, what, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 6 years ago. I don't think that they were, I don't think that they're the same people. And if they are, goddamn, like, evolve. But yeah, no, I don't think that they're the same. Even based on when I met April, again, later on in life, like, it seemed like she had really matured a bit and, you know, found her footing and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just a lot of betrayal, and a lot of pain and a lot of lies and a lot of secrets. And I really want all of my friendships to be super authentic and transparent and just a good representation of me and who I am. I love having some whore friends, but right now I will say that I have like evolved horror friends, if that makes sense. Like we are all growing through our horrosities in different ways. I mean, some of my friends are in relationships, so they're not quite in that. Maybe they'd be like a horror for their man, you know what I'm saying? But they're not like out there bopping, you know. But my single friends, well, I guess I only have one single friend in my core group of friends. But yeah, me and my single friend are definitely whoring it out. Well, I'm whoring it out mentally because I'm still celibate, but I live vicariously through him and his stories. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna leave y'all with that. I love you so, so, so much. Please, please, please open your arms wide and give yourself a hug for me. And be kind to yourself. Be kind to animals. And I want to leave you with this thought. And the thought is, what are 3 things that you are so grateful for in your current friendships? And what are 3 things that you wish for in your future friendships? 3 things that you're very grateful for in your current friendships. 3 things that you wish for in your future friendships. All right. That's it. I love y'all so much. Te amo mucho, mamacitas and mamositas. What's the male version of mamacita? I don't know. But I love y'all.